Welcome to Sovereign Key. I'm Lauda Leon. I wanted to discuss today something that happened a long time ago at the beginning of how this creation manifested. I wanted to get into this area to explain the levels of density. Let's just say hundreds of millions of years ago or millions of years ago. It's really hard to lock down time. There was a huge war that occurred with the creator beings. In this separation, there was a, quote, war that happened through the manifestation of density. So with the manifestation of the ego and the war that ensued in this battle for worlds, for, quote, creating planets, for creating what we know of as realms, the beings that fought one another and died fell through many layers of various densities. These densities, they establish and determine what type of life is within that density and what can express itself through that density. And when that occurred, what we have are the bodies, the actual bodies of these beings who fell, and in the falling through the densities had their bodies in effect become the realms that we know today. AKA the planets. This is where Tiamat comes from. This Tiamat was an actual body. What we have is the evidence in this realm that we live in of pieces of all of these bodies. And this is actually where all of the gems and crystals come from. These are where the veins within Terra herself come from. This is the reason why we call her her. The actual full body of Tiamat was split into pieces, and each of those pieces became other worlds for the most part. But not only was it her body, but it was also the bodies of all the other creators, all the other beings through the tiers of those lineages of creators that fell through the densities to manifest in these realms and leave the evidence of their bodies behind, which became Earth as we know it, which became each and every realm as we know it, with the actual formation of the Earth itself, of Terra. We see evidence of these bodies everywhere. We are, as soon as you walk outside, the rocks that you pick up, literally the material substance that these realms are created out of and made from comes from these original bodies. Now, not all of them died in these wars that happened, obviously, because most of us all have returned, with the exception of those that had to stay in this densified state, in essence, to give life, so that we could continue this dream within a dream within a dream ad infinitum of creation of our own minds, of the mind of, quote, creation and creator, so that we could have a foundation by which to stem from in our own experience through this dream within a dream within a dream, through the infinity layers of it all. It's incredibly complex and incredibly simple. So when we start looking around us and we start looking and seeing at what all of these mountain ranges look like, what all of these veins look like in the earth, what these crystals, the colors, the living essence of it, the blood petrified, the minerals petrified, the minerals that are in our blood. This was the substance of which this entire realm is created out of. This is the body, the piece of the body of one of the largest creators, being what we know of as Tiamat. I'm not, I mean, that is the name that we attribute. And then, of course, the various body parts of the countless others that fell through the densities of manifestation as creation was happening. And this creation manifestation through density is what allowed for all of these realms, these pieces of living matter, essentially, in that form, to give life for all of us to have our forms and all of the other forms that are in existence. So I'm going to show you a video that has been done by Age of Disclosure, who has a lot of good images that they've collected in their YouTube channel. Dictionary of Truth is another one that is very good, and there's a lot of evidence of this. The event that occurred in this first original, quote, fall, and that may very well be the fall we are discussing about in origin of creating such densities to give life and support to all realms so that we could experience everything that is being experienced from that point on, because prior to that, it is questionable whether there existed actual bodies by which we could have life and live it in the way that we are living it as we know it now, and as we've known it for millions of years. So here's the video, and I'll just speak about it as it plays. So if we look at the beginning or the formation of everything that we know of as mountains, that we know of as rocks, that we know of as what we've been trained to see as only dead earth, we begin to see a very, very different picture. Now, what I find fascinating is that the memory of this wasn't really evidenced very well years ago, not in the internet, not anywhere. It was as though nobody could really see this, even though this is in plain sight. The proof and the evidence of this is literally everywhere in this entire realm that you go to. When you wonder why there are so many strange rock formations that look like they are something else, it is because they were something else, and what it looks like is oftentimes very much what you think it is. So we will just continue to look at aspects of this from Age of Disclosure, who's done a really good job on the YouTube channel in putting out the images of this all, which when you begin doing the research and you begin seeing what it is, where it is, all over, you begin to get a picture of this war that happened in origin to create what we know of as these realms. So pieces of, well, let's just go into the real now. When one looks at this, that could be very much a mouth with teeth. And then we will see one of my favorite images, which gives life to the battle that occurred and the fall through density. And this is the reason why I say it's not about ascension, it's about descension, because we are actually forming a deeper level of density so that we can experience a much more integrated original essence life that would be equivalent to what is more of a real experience in the body and not the holographic version. So this is another one. She does a great job in putting this together. You can see it's a body. The more that you start doing the research into this, the more that that it's easier to see. So let me just, yeah, this is, and I'm sure that there are people that have memory of this original battle to form and manifest in density the worlds that we know, and the pieces of the bodies that are strewn throughout the multiverse, really, in creating these worlds, these realms. So let's just pause that for a sec. So this is also from the Dictionary of Truth, and I will just play that forward, as there are great depictions. The Dictionary of Truth also does a fantastic job of explaining. Mud Fossil University is another one, which I highly recommend. He is fantastic. He is really putting a lot of the science attached to all of this, chemically, biologically, in a way that's very easy to understand. So I absolutely recommend Mud Fossil University, as he explains and he breaks down the science behind different types of rocks, or what we call rocks. But are they rocks? You begin to see an entirely different creation that, if you can imagine, gives a really eye-opening view to the land of the Titans, to the land of these realms of the original creators, whom were ginormous, whom were massive, and in their own right had a different type of reality realm for themselves prior to falling in this type of density and creating it, and creating this as we know it. So we'll just keep seeing pictures of the various internal parts of the body. I mean, there's a face right here. And that is a face right there. That is a nose and a mouth. It's in plain sight. There are those who have come and retained memory because they partook in it. They were a part of the original battle, falling into density, and creating these worlds. there's a lot more evidence coming forward than there was in our previous world, in our previous reality. In this one, in this version, there's a great deal more that is coming to the surface, and it's in plain sight in front of our faces everywhere. So when we say that crystals are alive and living and there is essence in them that is very much alive to this day, it is because it's true. And people such as Tesla even knew that all of these essences were alive. And even in this state, you know, where their bodies became the sacrifice material to form worlds and realms, their consciousness is still there. And that is why all the crystals, all of the essence of what comprised the bodies of these creator beings is very much conscious. And we can begin to see it, the story of creation. We can begin to see something very different from the ridiculous history version that we've been given in linear time, which is a fabrication. We begin to see the faces of these beings. We begin to see just how full the universe was and is, and how everything in that moment of that battle, in essence, fell out of the first universe to form. And in this way, each and every one of them has evidence of this, because that is what it has been created out of. And this is why they say as above, so below as well, because we are literally what is formed from and out of the infiniverse, the universes, the multiverses. We are the very substance of the very thing we see, and we know we are the very, very exact same thing. Internally, it is like looking at galaxies, universes, our DNA, our atoms, how we are formed takes the shape of every single thing in existence. The more that we can begin to see that there is really no separation between everything, including what formed life in various densities, we can begin to see how and what we truly are, and the journey that we've gone through. Because the journey that we've gone through is the journey of this very story from its origins at the very beginning of this creation of density itself, that may very well have also caused the fall in the war in creation, in order to be able to manifest bodies, physical bodies as we know them in our minds, in our consciousness, and experience every level of existence that we could possibly conceive, perceive. And in this way, we are and have stemmed from the mind of such original creators. But know this, we all were created, we all came out of the deep at the very same time. So when creation began to spark its consciousness out of the deep, we all were formed instantly. And this is why we, in essence, originate at the same level, at the same spark coming out of the deep, which is a profound thing, because there is no such thing as time, is there? Or or a knowledge of something that is outside of the very, very beginning of life itself. Life being thought, the mind of God, thinking a thought for the first time, the mind of creation, of creator. This is what came out of the deep first. And such became these creators in origin at the very, very beginning, whom was the result of forming in their own bodies and with their own bodies the very worlds that hence became populated by the life that formed outside and within those density levels. So in the various density levels, when I say outside, I mean there's more than one density level, there's more than one dimension, there's more, and there's life in every one of them. And in, you know, the goal of what is happening with becoming, when I talk about the becoming, is that we are going through density to create not a holographic experience the way we have been doing forever, but to actually create a life that is far more real, R-E-A-L, and not the real, R-E-E-L. So, and this is just one aspect of that story, because, you know, this realm is full of secrets, and some of the secrets as well are that there are literally pieces of dragon bodies also strewn throughout various parts of this realm as evidence. And one of them is in India. And if I can find that, I will put that up here. Hang on. It is fascinating to know that when our eyes begin to see, when we begin to open our minds truly outside of the brainwashing that forces you to see things in a different way, that blinds you to what is actually right in front of you, then many more memories flood in, many more things come. Your expansion is not just in the mind, but in the DNA itself, your DNA being the memory of everything from the inception. Further photographs from the Dictionary of Truth. And this is actually endless, this list. Yeah, it's just profound. Absolutely profound. I'm happy that this is coming out now, because the experience that has occurred through many ages of darkness, with the fabrication of the ages of illumination, both extremes have been to control everything so that everyone would be blinded from what you truly are, blinded from your infinite capacity, from the very story of your own beginning, from the very story of the magnitude of what we came from, which is this is what we came from. This is our story of creation, a memory that has been completely almost forgotten. The evidence, however, is in the very formation of these worlds that have given birth, essentially, to realms where we could experience our level of evolution that continued. So it has been a story of transitioning out of various levels of densities and dimensions to form even the bodies that we have today. So this is just incredible. So I will put the audio, or actually there is no audio except for music. This is a compilation of pictures that have been taken and collected from around this realm. And most of them are self-explanatory. If you look at them long enough, you can see heads, pieces of the body. There's the head right there with the shoulders coming out. That's a body right there. Now this would be what would be internally inside the body of the Titan or of a creator being. What we see within our own veins, within how our bones are made, what we are comprised of. Yes, and then you've got the footprints that are left behind. So we begin to see a very, very different story than the traditional brainwashing that we've all been given at what they call school, or I should say the unschooling. School is to blind you, to put blinders on your eyes, to remove your memories. All of these programs are to remove your memories and to remove even what could cause a triggering in memory, to remove your ability to even see something. But we've retained pieces of this in memory in terms of even knowing the story of Tiamat, calling this realm Terra, or the piece of her, Terra, the piece of her body. We've retained in myths the real story of creation, or parts of the real story of creation. That looks like a vagina. That looks like a lion. Looks like a sphinx. Yes, it's quite fascinating, and I can only hope that more and more people start collecting evidence for themselves and unlocking their genetic memory, unlocking the memory of their own being from the very beginning of this dream, at the very beginning of this experience in body, this experience in falling into creating worlds within different densities, and these densities within themselves give life to different forms. Oh, that's a dragon. To give different forms of life the ability to experience themselves. So it's not just one. It isn't one type of being. It's not one type of, each density gives life, a unique life of its own to its particular type of experience in a body, in what we know of as a physical experience of body, each of which are different. So I will put these links to these amazing YouTube channels that have done an amazing job collecting this evidence. And hopefully we'll collect our own pictures and start bringing more parts of this original story in memory out. And so that's when we see pieces of boulders that's internally, you can see this, that was a picture of something that was internal. When we see boulders such as this that just stick out in the middle of nowhere, everywhere in the world, everywhere in this realm has evidence of this. Literally everything that is created here comes from these bodies. That's a face. You could see that that's blood. So when we see that coloration on rock, it's blood. And that's another face. Yeah. Much of a very different original beginning, people. And the story of Tiamat is true, and a lot of the native Indians have retained memory of this. Even the story of creation as per the tortoise, as per being on the back of a tortoise. It's being on a body. This body is given life to the ability to have other life forms on it and experience life in their own version of density. Our version of density is very different from theirs. Theirs had to form this realm. Ours has the ability to live in it and experience and create our own density as well, in forming other realms, which is what we're doing in the splitting in the new earth, the new Terra. So yes, we see evidence in the information that we have with regards to the giants. I know that there's writing, Ron Wyatt did a lot of, he did some, was it Ron Wyatt? Well, I know Ron Wyatt did some interesting research, but there's quite a few of them out there that have done a lot of research into giants, and there's a lot of writing that they could be up to 65 feet and 65 feet tall, but that's not true. The truth is, the original creator beings, and quote, all of the Titans were far larger than 65 feet. 65 feet is nothing compared to what they actually were at the beginning. You're talking about, if you can create, if you think about how large Tiamat was prior to the catastrophic war that exploded her body into pieces that created other worlds, literally, other realms, then you have an idea of just how large these creator beings were and could get to. The size of them, actual planets. So our concept is so wrong. And we really have to question everything. We really have to question every single thing we read in what we know of as archaeology, what we know of as history, what we know of, period, in every possible way here. and what we know of even in time. Literally question everything. And don't take what you've been given. Don't take what you've been told as truth. You have access to everything within you. You have access to all those questions being answered. The evidence of these creator beings and their bodies and their blood and the minerals that made their and constituted their bones and their blood and everything is being, it's almost as though this new universe can't hide this anymore. It's everything has to be more transparent. There can't be a shielding like there used to be prior. And I know that there are a lot of people experiencing the Mandela effect. I'm one of them. And being an avid history and archaeology researcher, this was never anything that I came across in the old verse. All of this, all of the evidence of this, all of the evidence of the creator bodies showing themselves so clearly and being evidenced throughout the entire realm, and the level of transparency that is happening and the acceleration that is allowing, it's perforating the veil. It's because the veil is almost not there anymore. It's perforating all of the layers of the mind that were previously subject to the blinding mind control. But now in this one, it's all coming to the surface, literally. We are pushing through the controlled technologies that have kept us imprisoned from our own sight. And now we're able to perceive more so the real nature of everything here as per our experience and as per our creation and as per the beginning of it all. Again, the beginning and the middle and the end, they don't exist. They happen simultaneously. So this is the story of what it is to come out of the deep and to experience our very own creation in the entire sojourn. That looks like it's inside a body. So I wanted to share that with everyone because I believe and I feel very strongly that this is a huge part of people's memory. They did a great job. Dictionary of Truth, people. You know, if start researching it, start opening up your memory. It's all there. You know, if we can all put the story together with all of our shared and combined memories, we can rewrite everything that we know. And, you know, this is a part of how we are creating and in the creation of what we are going to be experiencing in the becoming. So it's important. This is all a part of the dismantling of illusions. This is all part of the great undoing so that we can really create with our consciousness and be in control of our consciousness and not have something else control. As I said, the importance of this isn't just to know about this, it's that it will unlock many memories within ourselves. And really, by doing so, we're dissolving these current paradigms that have locked everybody into a hall of mirrors of lies, preventing us even the smallest amount of emancipation, and we have no evidence throughout the beginning of creation that anyone has ever gotten out of here. This has been repeating itself in loops, in horrible loops. And I believe that this is, well, I feel that this is, not believe, I really wish there was a different word. We have to come up with a new dictionary completely, because it's not adequate anymore. The language as we know it is just a spell, and we need to really undo the spell by creating a real language that undoes the spell. But this is all very important for us, because as we blow open our mind's eyes and perceive on such levels that it will open us up to other deeper, far-reaching truths. That is a dragon. And this one we saw a little earlier. It's another dragon. Dragons are everywhere here. One of the first creations that came out of the deep. The dragon lineages, the dragon beings, the dragon creator beings, the wisdom keepers.
But yeah, these formations are absolutely undeniable. This one here is absolutely undeniable. How can...
Yes. Knowledge is wisdom. Knowledge is power. That's the elephant again. That is a tree, people. That is a stump of a tree. And that is how large trees were here. So, and larger, much larger than that even. Again, that is the stump. It's been cut off completely, just like we do here. This is evidenced everywhere. And they call them things like the Mesa. By robbing us of the truth of what we are robbed of becoming and being what we are. We are robbed of our very own existence and the potential and the ability to create and make that and build that. So if we accept this and continue to accept it, then the energy of that has to play out. Authority and sovereignty will abolish agreements of entrapment, and then we can create true education, because we have to remember, this is a part of the remembering. It's a love story as well. It's our very own love story. It's our very own love story to us. It's your love story to you. This all. And I want to thank the Age of Disclosure, the Dictionary of Truth, the Mud and Fossil University, and the others who've contributed in bringing this forward. And I'd really like to have more people's memories surface about this all. And maybe we can just weave it together and bring more truth out and bring more of our memory out. So that would be really wonderful. And I'm looking forward to that. So thank you.